5 years had passed since my life fell apart. 5 long, agonizing years since Nathan, my husband and the man I once believed to be my soulmate, caught me in the arms of another man, Daniel, my boss. The betrayal was catastrophic, shattering not only Nathan but the life we had painstakingly built over a decade. I replayed that night in my mind endlessly. Nathan's silent shock, his trembling hands clutching the takeout bag he had brought for me, and the way his eyes dimmed with pain when he saw Daniel and me in that compromising position. He didn't shout, he didn't lash out. He just stood there, staring at me as though I were a stranger, before turning and walking away. The divorce was inevitable. Nathan refused to speak to me throughout the process, and I didn't blame him. I signed the papers with tears in my eyes, knowing I had no right to fight for anything. Not our home, not our memories, not him. When it was over, I left town, unable to bear the weight of my mistakes or the whispers of our mutual friends. I spent the next few years trying to rebuild my life. Therapy became my sanctuary, where I unraveled the cracks in my marriage and the darker parts of myself that led to my infidelity. It wasn't just about the act of cheating. It was about the loneliness, the fear of inadequacy, and the desperate need for validation I sought from Daniel. I had sabotaged the best thing in my life, and no amount of self-reflection could change that. When I received the wedding invitation, I almost didn't open it. It was from Sophia, one of Nathan's close friends who had always been kind to me. Seeing her name brought back a flood of memories. Dinners, vacations, laughter. Felt like a lifetime ago. I hesitated before opening the envelope. When I saw the location, my stomach sank. The wedding was at the same church where Nathan and I had exchanged vows. A part of me wanted to rip the invitation in half and throw it away. Another part of me, the part that still longed for closure, felt an inexplicable pull. Against my better judgment, I RSVP'd yes. The day of the wedding arrived, and I felt like a ghost walking through memories. The church looked almost identical to the way it had on my wedding day. The same stained glass windows, the same soft glow of candles, the same scent of old wood and roses. I scanned the crowd nervously, half hoping and half dreading that Nathan would be there. And then I saw him. He was sitting near the front, looking effortlessly handsome in a dark suit. His hair had a touch more gray, but his posture was as confident as ever. He was talking to a woman with striking red hair, who laughed at something he said, her hand brushing his arm. My stomach twisted with jealousy and regret. I tried to slip into a pew unnoticed, but my movement caught Nathan's eye. Our gazes locked, and for a moment time stood still. His expression was unreadable. No anger, no warmth, just quiet acknowledgement. After the ceremony, I lingered near the exit, debating whether to leave before the reception, but fate had other plans. Lena. Nathan's voice called softly behind me. Froze. My heart pounded as I turned to face him. Nathan, I managed, my voice shaky. Close, he was even more striking than I remembered. There was an air of maturity about him, a calmness that I envied. I didn't expect to see you here, he said. His tone polite but distant. Neither did I admitted. I wasn't sure if it was a good idea. He nodded slowly. It's been a long time. It has. An awkward silence settled between us, the weight of our shared history hanging like a heavy curtain. Do you want to talk? He finally asked, surprising me. Yeah, I said, my voice trembling. We stepped outside into the cool evening air, away from the noise and laughter of the reception. I heard you left town, he began. I did, I said, wrapping my arms around myself. I couldn't stay. Everything reminded me of what I did. He nodded, his expression unreadable. And Daniel? It ended shortly after everything, I confessed. It was never real, Nathan. It was a mistake. A horrible, selfish mistake. Nathan's jaw tightened, and for a moment I thought he might walk away. But instead he spoke. I spent years trying to figure out what I did wrong, he said, his voice low. I kept asking myself if I wasn't enough for you, if there was something I could have done differently. Tears welled up in my eyes. It wasn't you, Nathan. It was me. I was scared, insecure, and I let my own fears ruin everything. You were more than enough. I was just too blind to see it. He looked at me for a long moment. His eyes filled with a mix of sadness and something else, acceptance. I've moved on, Lena, he said finally. It wasn't easy, but I had to. You can't live in the past forever. Are you happy? I asked hesitantly. I am, he said. I'm seeing someone. She's great. Kind, honest, everything I need. The words stung, but I forced myself to smile. I'm glad, Nathan. You deserve that. And you, he asked. Have you found peace? I'm trying, I admitted. I've spent the last 5 years trying to understand myself, to forgive myself. It's a work in progress. We stood there in silence for a moment, the sounds of the wedding fading into the background. I'm glad we talked, Nathan said finally. I think I needed this. Me too, I said. I'm so sorry for everything, Nathan. I hope you know that. I do, he said. And I hope you find happiness, Lena. You deserve that too. He gave me a small smile before walking away, back into the reception and the life he had built without me. As I watched him go, I felt a strange sense of closure. I had lost Nathan because of my own mistakes, but in that moment I realized that forgiveness, both his and my own, was the first step toward healing. For the first time in years, I felt a glimmer of hope. Maybe, just maybe, I could finally start to move forward.